You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
We could grow. We could develop.
As we know that heaven is not a place, and happiness lives in the heart. Long as the world keep turning, our duty is to keep on learning. You heard?
Keep on learning. It's soaking up game. We gon' make mistakes. We gon' go through something. Keep on growing. Keep on soaking up game. If something ain't working, don't be afraid to change.
Nobody know it all. As soon as you think you do, that's when you fall. We got to do more to survive. We must evolve. Things change just when you think you've seen it all. We trip, we stumble, but we get back in stride. Each day all the way, one step at a time. Don't want to let my ego and pride make me blind. The elders say when you stop growing, that's when you die. The one who gets
Greetings to you, and welcome to MIB Unleashed Black Talk, real Black Talk. I'm your host, Brother Wayne, and my co-host, Brother Maurice.
Welcome.
We're glad to see you. Hopefully you are familiar with us by now. You're tuning in to all of our posts. We hope that you are. We are, of course, a mentoring organization as well. You can reach us and bring us into your city and help us keep with our mission of deprogramming and restoring original pride to our youth. You can go to www.mibness.com. That's mibness.com. We are meninblackness.com. So check us out, and of course tune in today and you'll see what we do, a part of what we do. So let's get started, man. Let's get jumping right on in here. This is another week that's gone by. I guess we should send out our condolences. We're on the heels of another so-called terrorist attack.
Right.
And so, of course, we like to send our condolences to any of the victims of these attacks.
And the victims' families.
And the victim families as well. I tell you, it's a horrible way to have to fight a war, guerrilla style or terrorism style, because you end up having to hurt innocents. And, that's not ever a good thing in my book. I just understand, but it's really just a tough deal. It's a tough situation. And so our condolences go out to the innocents who lost their lives, including family members, like you say. Let's also get our disclaimers early on, since I'm thinking about it in the beginning. We do disclaimers on this program so that we can be free to do our talk show without being labeled and with any of these negative labels that we don't subscribe to. We're not
anti-Semitic.
Anti-Semitic. We certainly not anti-Semitic today. It's something about it we're going to cover. We're not anti-gay, homophobic,
racist.
We're not racist. All of those things that people label you when you have honest conversation and honest criticism even of things. And so we like to get out there in the beginning so you can enjoy what we have to say, but dislike what we have to say, but at least you won't put us in those little small categories. Okay?
Yeah, we're not anti-establishment, anti-government, all those type of anti-dictates that they normally place on people who speak truth to power.
You know one thing we are though, and I never have mentioned this on this program, and I've been meaning to.
Right.
They used to call what we are back in the 20s race men. You remember that? Marcus Garvey and the people who were with Marcus Garvey, they were all called race men. I like that term, race men, meaning that we are committed to the advancement and the furtherance of our race.
And that was the whole idea at first behind the NAACP.
Absolutely.
Right, because that's what it said, national advancement.
That's right.
Yeah.
So let's get started. What I want to do today, and I want to address something that we need to address. So hopefully this is going to be a real aid to those of you who are tuned in today. Our mission, of course, is to help our community move forward. And one of the things that we have to understand, and it appears that we don't understand, is that there are rules or there are laws for success.
Yes, sir.
Or there are things in place that if you do, success happens. Let me use this simple analogy, if I will. You can be a serial killer or a real evil person, and if you want to raise roses, if you plant the bulb and water it correctly and give it the proper light, sunlight, it's going to grow.
Eventually.
Doesn't matter what type of person you are, because you are doing something where a law is in place. It's the law of success for the raising of that particular rose. If you plant the bulb, if you put it in the right soil, if you give it water
and fertilize,
and get it fertilized, and the sunlight hits it, you can be an evil person, but that rose is going to grow. So what I'm saying is that there are principles of success and there are laws of success that regardless as to the kind of human being you are, if you do those principles, if you follow those principles that implement that law, you too can have success.
Right.
Our problem is that we violate all of the principles of success, all of the laws of success, but yet we expect success. And to give you an example, we're going to do a comparison here. We're going to use a book that we're going to recommend that you read, and it's an excellent book, and I'm pretty sure my brother has heard of it. It's called The Jewish Phenomenon: 7 Keys to the Enduring Wealth of a People. Now, all of you know the Jewish people in America, in particular, we're talking about, are a wealthy group.
Yes, sir.
Well, in other words, where is that tenement house that has poor Jewish people?
Right.
You can't find it.
Right.
You don't know where that is because it doesn't exist. So what we're going to do is we're going to read to you what their 7 principles are, or what they call the 7 keys to the enduring wealth of a people that they implement among themselves. And then we're going to see whether or not we are implementing that same principle.
Right.
Or if we are violating that principle in some way.
Right. And then we can conclude whether or not this is the reason why we're not successful or being successful.
Right. Based on the principles that we're practicing among ourselves. Okay? That's the whole idea, is to get us to recognize that we have to practice certain principles in order to get the success that we need as a group.
Yes, sir.
The first principle, or the first key to the enduring wealth of the people, according to the Jewish phenomenon, is understand that real wealth is portable. It's knowledge. That's the first principle. That to understand that real wealth is portable. It's knowledge.
Right.
Now, do we have that principle understood among us as a people?
Well, see, it would go back to Solomon. I do believe he said, out of all you're getting of knowledge, get you an understanding. I think that the knowledge is here, and we have an abundant flow of knowledge, meaning the internet.
But I don't think we hold knowledge up high as a principle among us. Here's what I think. I think that the main message that we're getting, especially our youth, is that wealth is bling bling. In other words, the buying of jewelry, the flossing, getting gold, buying brand new automobiles, all of the things that are flashy. This is what one is being taught. This is what we're teaching our young people when we do all of that. When we buy all of those things and we flash it. If you look at any of the latest videos of young people.
Hip-hop videos?
Yes,
sir.
You'll see that there's this extreme consumerism that takes place.
Right, and no one's going to work. That's what's ironic. On the videos, you don't see any type of work that's going on.
No. And so the message that's coming across is not that wealth is portable, that is knowledge. No, wealth is bling bling.
Right.
Wealth is showing off your expensive things.
Right.
So you must have money because you've got four fingers with 4 rings on them.
Right.
Or you've got the biggest and the most gaudy watch that one can purchase.
Or the largest necklace.
Or the largest necklace. This is the message that we're getting, as opposed to the one that the Jewish people have implemented among themselves, is that real wealth is portable. It's knowledge.
Right.
And so we don't have knowledge up there high on the scale among our community. And I don't think we can disagree with that.
Right. And if you look at it, they have access to all of the wealth, like over in Africa, the De Beers, so on and so forth. They have the diamond mines, and you don't see those people wearing all the bling bling, and they have access to it more than anyone else.
Absolutely, good point. And so that's one principle that we certainly violate. We don't hold knowledge up high enough among ourselves. We don't make learning our life's mission. Okay? The acquisition of knowledge, that's the key.
Because once you get to knowledge, the wealth shall come.
The wealth shall come. Okay? That's the key. That's what they're saying. That it's portable and it can be passed on. And you can move and take it with you.
You can go from Alabama to California, from California to New York. It's portable.
It's portable. So everywhere you go set up, that knowledge is going to be with you, and you should be able to expand on it and grow and develop it right there.
And a perfect example in the execution of that is the banks. They can set up a bank in any city
because they
start making money.
Because they have knowledge of banking.
Yes, sir.
It's portable. It can be moved. And that's what we got to learn as a principle that we're violating. So we can't expect the success if we don't get that principle. Principle number 2, or key number 2, that the Jewish people have among themselves, based on the book that we're reading, that we're talking about, called The Jewish Phenomenon. Okay, that's where this information is coming from. Number 2 for them is take care of your own, they will take care of you.
A recipient.
Take care of your own, they will take care of you. So the principle that's implemented among Jewish people is look after your own people. Spend money with your own people's companies. Go and share knowledge with your own people. Make sure that your own people get the benefit of whatever you have that's been given to you by God.
Make sure that money circulates in your community at least 5 to 7 times.
Simple principle.
Yes, sir.
Okay? What do we teach among us? What's the message that we get?
Spend it at the mall. Spend it at the stores. We never think about circulating that money with us before we go and spend it at the mall and spend it at other stores.
Let me keep it real. One of the messages that we have among ourselves is, you can't trust no nigga. That's a message that we get among ourselves.
Time out. We cannot use the N-word.
I just said, let me keep it real right quick.
I understand, you know.
But that's the message that we have among us. Oh, you can't trust. The other message that we got among us is, you get yours,
and I'm gonna get mine.
Don't you worry about them. Yeah. Now come on, y'all. How are we going to be successful when we are violating principles of success?
So our progress, Brother Wayne, is what you're seeing, has a lot to do with the knowledge that's not portable, and also that we don't care and we don't have that love for each other and the love for self. Because if we loved ourselves properly, we would actually love our neighbor as ourselves.
And we would implement the principle of taking care of your own, because your own would take care of you. That's simple, okay? That's something that the Jewish people implement among themselves. Because this is one of the second of the 7 keys to the enduring wealth. We're talking about wealth now.
Right.
The acquisition of wealth, meaning staying rich and passing it on.
Right. And see, you can look at those 2 words. They're synonymous. Wealth and rich are synonymous. We use the word rich, but we don't understand what it takes to get to be rich.
Unfortunately, we still exist in the frame of mind that the white man's ice is colder. There was a thing that happened just a few years ago that really hurt our heart, at least in our city. I don't know what your city is like, but you remember when the grills were in, everybody was purchasing grills. At the time, I was running a restaurant and had some foreigners open a grill shop right next door to my restaurant, and 99.9% of their customers was young black youth.
Right.
Running in there, getting grills from them. And so there was a black man doing grills on the other side of town.
Right.
And I would call those youngsters into my restaurant and say, yo, don't you know about the brother that's over there? Even though I didn't want them to get no grill, at least I wanted them to spend the money with another black man doing it.
Right.
And I said, don't you know about the brother over there that's doing the grill? You should have heard the excuses that were given to me as to the reason why they couldn't do business with the black man.
Oh, he not using the same type of gold.
You can't trust.
You can't trust.
See, that's a principle that's not implemented among us, and it's getting taught all the way down to our young people, and it's plaguing our community. That's the second principle. Take care of your own will take care of you.
And it starts with the individual, and then it goes to the family, and then it goes out to the community. And once you establish it within yourself and in your own household, in your family, you will see it moving.
That's the message, y'all. It's not getting to us, and we're violating that principle of success. And in this case, it is a key for the Jewish people, for the enduring wealth of a people. Key number 3. Successful people are professionals and entrepreneurs. Key number 3.
Repeat that.
Successful people are professionals and entrepreneurs.
Now think about most Jewish people. They're engineers, physicists, doctors, lawyers, bankers.
Store owners, not just store owners, but we're talking about chain store owners. Okay? But what is our message? Boy, you go to school
and get you a good job.
so you can get you a good education, so you can get you a good job. That's the message that we still give to our young people.
So this message started out in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and here we are in 2013, and we're telling our children to go in debt.
Go to school. You stay in school so you can get you a good education, so you can get you a good job.
And look at the job rate today. Look at the unemployment rate for black people today.
It's silly. We're not practicing the principles of success. Because if we are still teaching our young people to go to school, to get an education, to go get a job, who's going to hire them?
As a man thinketh, surely is he.
Where are the jobs going to come from? Can't we see that those are not available for us anymore? They're not there. And so if we're not producing the jobs, then where are our educated people going to go find jobs?
So it says to us right now, we mentioned last week about McDonald's. McDonald's is getting ready to start hiring degree people. So what are they going to do with that person who does not have a degree?
It's simple, y'all. Listen, this is the third principle that impacts the Jewish community, ensures them wealth. In other words, they put emphasis on being professionals or being an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is a person that starts businesses. That's what we've got to do. But we're violating that principle. What is our message? Our message is success is a good job, or a pro basketball, football player, or a baller.
Oh, well, you know, an actor, actresses, entertainer.
Working for somebody.
Yeah.
All of those persons are working for somebody. They're not people who create companies. They're not people who can hire other people.
They're waiting on Hollywood if they're in the acting career.
And the ball player, of course, is not going to be able to hire anybody. He's going to have a good salary for 3 to 5 years.
Right.
And then he's out of that.
Right.
Back down to the neighborhood, hopefully trying to get his degree now that he didn't get.
Right.
So that's a principle that we're violating grossly, that we don't teach our children to be professional or entrepreneurs. We've got to create jobs in our community. That is the bottom line. That's our salvation. If we choose not to do it, we shouldn't expect to be saved.
And we shouldn't expect nobody else to do it.
Shouldn't expect nobody else to do it. What we're addressing is we are dealing with the 7 keys to the enduring wealth of a people. And it's found in a book called The Jewish Phenomena. In other words, these are the principles that the Jewish people practice among themselves. And we are suggesting that we could do the same thing, but we're not. Therefore, it's explanation for our condition not changing as a group. Okay? As a group. Of course, you may be practicing these principles as an individual, but we're talking about the group phenomenon here now.
Right. Because as a people, we're behind the 8 ball.
We're behind all the other groups. And we shouldn't be. Because we're the largest so-called minority group. We make the most money than any of the minority groups. So we should be really, really doing it. We should be having it going on. But here's what we're saying is the reason why. We're violating the principles of success. We're violating the laws of success that should be implemented among our people and among ourselves.
And I think that for the most part, Brother Wayne, we actually get caught up in this concept of luck. Luck. We're lucky when we make it in life. We're lucky when we land a business. We're lucky when we get into the pros.
So there was no plan and calculated motion to bring us to that point.
Right. You know, we have an old saying.
That's why the lottery works so well.
Right. And you know, opportunity or preparation meets opportunity. That's the real definition of the concept of luck. But we don't understand that. And it goes back to the principles and the laws of success. If you don't get prepared for success, you will not become successful.
Can't argue with that. Principle 4, or key 4, that the Jewish people implement among themselves.
And I think those keys, and I won't stop you, I think those keys are the things that unlock doors, right?
Absolutely. They unlock doors, they unlock all of the things that we desire out of life.
Right.
As a group.
Yes, sir.
And so, and we are suggesting that the Jewish people in this country here certainly are not one of your poor groups.
Right.
And here's one of the reasons why. They have certain principles that they implement among themselves.
Right.
And we are using those principles in comparison to what principles that we're operating with, meaning the black folk in America.
Right.
Principle number 4, develop your verbal confidence. Develop your verbal confidence. Master the language.
So that'll be like more like self-esteem, to get yourself up to a level of being able to grasp information and be able to expound upon and articulate it in the best way that's been proven to be effective.
Absolutely. The language and the ability to express one's ideas and thoughts are so valuable. We've seen countless numbers of times where we have our young people who are unable to explain why you charging me with this crime is wrong because I was not a part of that scene.
Right.
And just having the ability to speak clearly as to why it is that this is not correct what you charged me with. And put the emphasis on it.
Effective communication.
Here's what we put emphasis on. If we are able to speak the language correctly, there is still this thing out there that says you sound like you're trying to talk white.
Right. Whereas that's not the case. You're articulating what needs to be said.
Speaking the language grammatically correct doesn't make me have to sound white.
Right.
Believe it or not, that's still a thing that's said and it's cast at our young people when they are trying to speak the language correctly.
And that's English. If you're going to speak the English, you need to speak it correctly.
And the other thing that we have among us is, instead of mastering the language, we choose to master slang.
And we call it ebonics now, or slang as you would say it.
We master slang. Listen to a rap song. Listen to some of the latest songs. If you don't have a slang dictionary, you're not going to be able to keep up.
But this is what I want to point out. But look at your guys such as 50 Cent, businessman.
Sure.
Jay-Z, businessman.
They put that mess on that song.
Right, but then they go into those boardrooms and those meetings and they speak grammatically correct.
Absolutely.
So that's the versatility of those two individuals as an example, but at the same time, they are what we call the individuals that use the principles and the laws of success.
Absolutely, especially in that area.
Right.
And what we try to get across to our young people is that there is a national culture that exists that rarely changes.
Right.
The national culture is the culture which you have to come in contact with to get things done financially, to get things done when it comes to real estate, to get things done when it comes to courts and all that kind of thing. You got to be able to intermingle with the national culture and use the language of the national culture.
Right.
The Jewish people understand that.
Right.
So they have, as a part of a law implemented among themselves, or key to their success, is that we want to master the language.
Right.
Wherever we happen to be, because you know they're all over the place.
Right.
So wherever we happen to be, master the language of the country that you're in.
Right.
Good information, good instructions for people who are interested in moving their group forward.
Right, and if you're not going to do those things, it goes back to why you're not successful, because you're not applying these laws and principles.
That's all we're saying. We're pointing these out today. Okay? Key number 5. Be selectively extravagant, but prudently frugal. Be selectively extravagant, but prudently frugal. That's going to require some explanation. Listen, we do just the opposite. We're going by the cheapest water heater for our home we can find, but the most expensive TV. No, the water heater plays a very important role in your home. It heats your water. It allows you to take more than one shower within 30 minutes at a time.
Right.
So you want the best water heater money can buy. Save money on your TV.
Right.
That's extravagant. That's being selectively extravagant, but prudently frugal.
Right.
In other words, save money on the nonsense things, the things that you don't really have to have.
Another perfect example. You go get the fattest, notice the word I'm using, fattest car.
Slave, yeah.
And then throw the fattest wheels and tires on it.
Right.
And then you barely can make the payment on it. So the wheels that you placed on it would be extravagant.
They cost more than the bucket you drive.
And so why would you go and put that much money in something that only looks good? You didn't even buy them used. You bought them new out the box.
And that's a principle that we're violating, but it is rampant in our community.
Get you a paper, turn on the news, ride through the hood, I witness the blues. How can you ignore it? It's easy to spot it. The trap house, a liquor store, in your city's got it, and my city's got it, and their city's got it. This world is chaotic, and nothing's symbolic. So life don't get cherished. So our babies perish, and your babies perish. Now tell me who's careless.